Welcome to EEMS 157. This video demonstrates the steps needed to view elevation profiles of cross-sections and interpolate bathymetry of the grid using Grid+. These features can be used to optimize grid refinement by analysis of bathymetric data. The powerful interpolation feature is unique to Grid+. Let's get started. Cross-section data files can be imported into Grid+. The data file extension is .ldb. Let's explore the data format by simply opening the cross-section data file in a text editor, such as Notepad or Notepad++. Once you open the file, you can see the first row of the file is the name of the cross-section. The second row contains the number of data points and the number of columns for each data point. The data file starts from the third row to the end. It has 3 columns. The first and second column are the x and y coordinates, and the third column is the elevation, or z coordinate. A cross-section file can contain a single cross-section or multiple cross-sections. To import the cross-section file to Grid+, click the Import from a File button from the main toolbar, then select Import Cross-Sections. After importing the cross-sectional data, to locate the cross-section location, right-mouse-click on the XS layer in the Layer control, then select Zoom to Layer. Based on the Z-column values in the cross-section data file, a range for the elevation color ramp of the cross-section may be set. Press Alt and C on the keyboard, and the Specify Elevation form will be shown. Enter the maximum and minimum values in the form. Then click the OK button. The color ramp for the cross-sections will be displayed. Next, choose the select mode by pressing the S key and then left mouse click on a cross-section to select it. Then its information is shown in the lower left corner of the Grid+ GUI. Next, right mouse click on the cross-section to display options and select View Cross-Section Profile to plot the cross-section elevation profile. There are 3 buttons on the cross-section elevation profile, which allow the saving of the profile. Grid+ is an advanced tool for interpolating bathymetric data between cross-sections. Suppose that we have a grid with a number of locations that have cross-section data. Grid+ allows interpolation of this bathymetric data from the cross-sections using an inverse distance weighting approach. Select the grid layer in the Layer Control panel, then select the Grid Bathymetry Interpolation option from the Data menu. The Topographic Interpolation form will pop up. Select the proper options in the Topographic Interpolation form, then click the Interpolate button to start interpolation. Once complete, click the OK button to close the form. To view the grid bottom elevation, right mouse click on the grid layer to display the options. Then select Show Properties/Bottom Elevation to see the nodes that have been assigned elevation values. An alternative approach to interpolating the bottom elevation of the whole grid is to use a polygon to restrict the area. To do this, first select the Add a New Polyline button from the main toolbar, then draw a polygon that covers the grid. Press the S key to set the cursor to Select Object mode. Select the overlay layer that contains the polygon we previously drew in the Layer Control panel. Left mouse click on the polygon to select it. The selected polygon will be highlighted by changing the color to red. Right mouse click to display options, then select Interpolate Grid Elevations. Once the process is complete, the Grid Bathymetry Interpolation form will be displayed. Click the OK button on the form to close it. To view the grid's bottom elevation, right mouse click on the grid layer to display options, then select Show Properties and Bottom Elevation to see the nodes assigned elevation values. In some cases, the available cross-sections are fewer and farther apart from each other, so that the inverse distance weighting interpolation method used in the previous section may not be appropriate. Alternatively, interpolation using an orthogonal curvilinear grid can be used. Suppose, for example, that there are only two cross-sections. First, we will generate a grid that covers the two cross-sections. Note that the grid should be relatively high resolution. That is, it should have a lot of cells. Here we can see that there are only a few cells at the two ends of the grid with cross-section data. Therefore, we should apply the bathymetry for those cells first. Click Add a Polyline button from the main toolbar to draw a polygon to cover the grid cells near the cross-sections. Then set the cursor to selection mode by pressing the S key. Select the overlay layer, the layer that contains the new polygon, then left mouse click on the polygon to select it. It will be highlighted by changing its color to red. Then right mouse click to display options and select the Interpolate Grid Elevation option. A message will be shown when the interpolation process is complete. Click the OK button to close the message. Apply similar steps to interpolate the bottom elevation of grid cells near the second cross-section. To view the grid bottom elevation, right mouse click on the grid layer to display options. Then select Show Properties and Bottom Elevation so that the nodes are assigned elevation values. Next, we will interpolate the bottom elevation for the entire grid based on the cells with the bathymetry from the two ends of the grid. Select the grid layer in the Layer Control panel and set the cursor to selection mode. Select the first grid node and hold the Shift key to select the second grid node. We select two grid nodes to define the grid block we want to interpolate. The grid block will be highlighted by changing the color to red. Now, right mouse click to display options and select Interpolate Elevations in I direction. After the interpolation process is complete, you can see the grid with the interpolated bottom elevation. As well as this interpolation feature, Grid Plus also has an extrapolation feature. In this case, some cells at the two ends of the grid are missing bathymetry. To fill in the bottom elevation, select the grid layer in the Layer Control and set the cursor to selection mode. Select a grid block that covers both cells missing bottom elevations and cells which have bottom elevations. The grid block will be highlighted by changing the color to red. Then, right mouse click to the grid cells to display options and select Extend Elevations in I direction. The bottom elevation values will be extended to the cells that are missing values. After creating the bathymetry of the grid, we can export it to a scatter data file. To do this, right mouse click on the grid layer, then select Create Scatter Data from Elevation. This will extract the grid node's elevation and create an XYZ scatter layer in the Layer Control. It is named XYZ from Grid. Right mouse click on the XYZ from Grid layer, select Export Data Points, and browse to the location where we want to save the file. Now enter a file name and click OK to export the layer to a file. Thank you for watching. Please follow the link below to view the next video in the series.